Welcome back everyone to another video by Emotion. And today we'll be talking about the topic of what could be Loki's devil fruit that we all saw him take in chapter 1170. Before getting on to the main part of the whole video, I would like to request every one of you guys watching to please consider liking, sharing and subscribing to our channel Emotion. This really motivates us to make even more videos. And with that being said, let's get back into the main bread and butter of the whole video. So before this, a spoiler warning that in the next chapter we could very well see what his actual devil fruit could be, and this video is probably going to end or probably going to be debunked within that chapter, but it is always good speculating. So with that in mind, let's get back into the speculation territory. In this video we'll be talking about 3 very good and spicy options that Oda could choose from about giving the powers of that mythical creature to Loki. And with that, the first one we'll be talking about is very obvious. It is Fenrir from the Norse mythology. So in a lot of interpretation of the Norse mythology, we could easily see that Fenrir is one of Loki's son, and here the character's name is also Loki. So there is a bit of connection there, but again there are a lot of things that just point to an opposite direction to Fenrir. Probably every one of you watching already know a lot about Fenrir from different YouTubers or from watching Marvel. He was specifically portrayed in the movie Thor Ragnarok. Now a bit of backstory which a lot of you might not know is that Fenrir is the creature that brings about Ragnarok. Ragnarok is an event that brings the end of the whole universe. So in a way, Fenrir is the start or the initial key factor that mobilizes the whole event of Ragnarok, and he is the person or the beast which kills Odin, the father or the main god of the whole Norse mythology. Now there are a few key things that are pretty similar between Fenrir as well as Loki from Onepiece. That is, both of them are kind of an initial person or beast that wants to destroy the whole world. In case of Fenrir, he brings Ragnarok, and in case of Loki, we heard it several times that he said that he wants to be the destroyer of the whole world. And based on the silhouette which we saw in chapter 1170, it looked a lot like he got claws and he got a kind of a dragon-ish or wolfish face at the end of the chapter. But as we know that the silhouetted things doesn't always come to fruition, and I'm looking at you, Kaido, you just were the worst silhouetted character ever. Look at his Kaido's silhouette from Marineford and look at what we got Kaido in Wano. They look very different, like they are not even a bit similar. But again, going back to Fenrir, it would not be an interesting choice if Oda goes for Fenrir, and that's because we have already seen Fenrir in the story of One Piece. As we saw Killingham's own nightmare creatures, one of them was Fenrir. So does Oda using the same beast again, or is it a different kind of Fenrir or different kind of wolf, or maybe a special breed of Fenrir is going to use something straight out of Oda's creative books? That is interesting if he does anything like that. Now coming back to Fenrir, there is one interesting thing that we all know about Norse mythology and Fenrir, that is that Father Odin sees everything that happens in the whole universe, but Fenrir is the only exception to it. Not totally, but kind of an exception to it. So it could easily be the thing that we saw about King Harald being killed by Loki, as where everyone else was struggling to just defeat the regeneration ability, where Loki just straight out took his hammer and blasted Harald off. So this could be a small twink to a thing that Emu sees everything, but Fenrir aka Loki is the only exception to it. But enough about Fenrir, let's get back into another interesting and very popular beast that could be that legendary devil fruit, and which is being talked all over in the whole One Piece community, that is Nidhogg. Now there are various interpretations of Nidhogg, and this is how you could see Nidhogg. It is generally a dragonish creature that lives in the roots of the Yggdrasil tree in Norse mythology and generally does his own thing in the roots. In various interpretation, he just chooses the roots of, and in various other interpretation, he does a lot of other things. So in a nutshell, it is pretty hard to pinpoint which interpretation Oda is going to choose if he chooses Nidhogg as the devil fruit or the mystical devil fruit of the whole Elbaf region. Now coming back to Nidhogg, there is a very interesting connection that is being built in this last chapter chapter, that is Ragnir being a squirrel. And in a lot of Norse mythology interpretation, we could see that a little squirrel is the messenger between the eagle that lives in the heaven realm of the Yggdrasil tree and Nidhogg, which lives at the root of the Yggdrasil tree. So that is the only way I could see Oda already foreshadowing Nidhogg being the legendary devil fruit, that is Ragnir being the squirrel. And again, we have also seen Nidhogg in the nightmare creatures which were brought to life by Saint Keringham. That guy is pretty cool, by the way. Keringham is just built different than other fraud knights. Or maybe a wild card, what if Loki is just the eagle which lives in the heaven realm of Yggdrasil tree? That would be pretty weird, right? Like, no one expected him to be an eagle. And Oda loves his eagles, by the way. I am looking directly at you, Pell. You just survived that big explosion and there is no reason how you could survive that, but still you are alive. And now for a very different wild card, I am going to throw in a bit of it as a teaser, and if this comes into fruition, I would be very happy. And that is the mythical Owen devil fruit of Elbaf is nothing as we all expected, and that is all foreshadowing because it is going to be one of the 4 gods that was mentioned in Onepiece, and it is none other than the forest god itself. Think about it, we already have the sea god in the form of Imu. Probably the sea god not yet confirmed. We have the sun god in terms of Luffy. And what fits the bill best than the person who is tied to a tree for years, and the person or the devil fruit he is portraying is also the forest god itself. Now I'm just going to leave it to that. There is a whole theory I already made onto that, and if that comes into fruition, I'm going to drop that theory video in YouTube. But I'm not going to take any chances because there is a huge chance that in the next chapter we just see Loki being something like a Fenrir, Nidhogg, or the eagle itself. With that being said, it is the end of today's video. I hoped you all liked this video, and if you are watching till the end, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing to our channel Anymotion. And if you guys have any kind of theory or any video suggestions, be sure to drop them down on the comment section down below. And with that being said, I'm out. Peace.